Chapter 24. "Tanya?" Eva shouted. "Tanya?" The figure turned, her straight blonde hair blowing in the wind. "It is her," Keith yelled. "Hey, Tanya!" Tanya raised her hand in a quick wave, then started down the steps. Eva couldn't wait for Tanya to climb all the way down. With Keith behind her, she raced up the steps and met her friend halfway up the bleachers. "You're alive!" she cried, throwing her arms around Tanya. "I'm so glad to see you. I can't believe it. You're alive!" Keith put his arms around both of them. "Hey, this is really incredible," he declared. "Everybody's been going nuts around here. What happened to you?" Tanya hugged them for a moment, then pulled away. Tears streamed from her eyes. I just heard the horrible news about Sandy, so I came home." "But where were you?" Eva demanded. "How could you just disappear like that without telling anybody? What happened?" Tanya wiped her eyes. Then she crossed her arms and stared at them. "It was a joke," she declared. "What?" Eva couldn't believe it. "Are you serious?" Tanya nodded. "Whoa," Keith murmured. "Some joke, Tanya. We didn't exactly think it was funny." Eva felt a surge of fury. "But how could you do something like that?" she shouted at Tanya. "It's sick. We all thought you were dead. Do you realize how awful we all felt?" "It wasn't funny," Keith repeated. "No, but what all of you did to me wasn't funny either," Tanya replied heatedly. "Huh?" Keith's mouth dropped open. "What did we do?" "You made a fool out of me," Tanya told them. "Everybody did. All of you knew Sandy was sneaking out with Charisse." "Oh no," Eva thought. "Now I get it. She thought we were keeping it a secret from her." "You all knew?" Tanya repeated. "And not one of you told me?" Her green eyes flashed at Eva. "Not even you, Eva, my best friend. I was so angry and so hurt, I decided to pay you back." "But—" Eva suddenly thought of something. "Tanya, you made those frightening phone calls?" "Yes, I did. I was so hurt. I really wanted to pay you back." Tanya stuck her hands in the pockets of her yellow windbreaker and hunched her shoulders against the wind. "I mean, you all made a fool out of me, in front of the whole school?" Eva glanced at Keith. He looked so uncomfortable, she thought. How long has he known about Sandy and Charisse? "Tanya, we didn't mean to make you feel like a fool," Keith told her. "Maybe not, but that's what happened," Tanya insisted. "Everybody knew but me. I felt like a total idiot." "That's no excuse for playing such a dirty trick," Eva snapped. "Anyway, I planned to tell you." "Well, you waited too long," Tanya declared bitterly. "When Jeremy told me about Sandy sneaking around with Charisse, I couldn't believe it. Once I stopped crying, I got so angry, and that's when I decided to get even." "Where were you all this time?" Eva asked Tanya. "I mean, were you just hiding at home?" Tanya shook her head. "That's what I was going to do, but Jeremy had a better idea. He cooked up the whole thing. Sandy was in on the first part, the strangling part, but he didn't know I was going to disappear. Anyway, I went to stay with my cousins in Waynesbridge. I told Mom and Dad not to worry, and they told the police I was perfectly okay." "So that's why the cops stopped the investigation," Keith said. "No wonder they thought the whole thing was a joke. It was." "It was a horrible, sick joke, Tanya," Eva declared angrily. "How could you do that to us? How could you put us through all that just because your boyfriend was cheating on you?" "I couldn't help it," Tanya cried. "I was so hurt and upset, and I wanted to hurt and upset everyone else, especially Sandy. I wanted you guys to feel like fools just the way I did." Eva glanced down, taking a deep breath. She did feel like a fool, and she still felt hurt and angry. Tanya got even all right. At least she's alive, Eva told herself. "How long was this joke going to last?" Keith asked Tanya. "Just another day or two," Tanya told him. "But then I heard about Sandy." Her eyes filled with tears again. "It's just horrible. I really cared about him, even though he was a sneak," she added. Eva hugged her again. As she did, the familiar cold, dark feeling surged through her. "You said this was Jeremy's plan?" she asked. Tanya nodded as she pulled a tissue out of her jacket pocket. "The whole thing?" Nodding again, Tanya wiped her eyes. "Well, where is he?" Eva demanded. "Why isn't he—" She stopped as the feeling became stronger. Something is wrong. Horribly wrong. "Eva," Tanya asked, "what's the matter with you?" "Something's going on," Eva murmured. "Someone is in trouble." As soon as the words popped into Eva's mind, she realized they were true. It's not just some weird feeling this time, she thought. I can tell that somebody's in trouble. But who? Shivering, Eva glanced around, then up into the bleachers. As her gaze rested on the broken railing, she froze. Charisse, she thought. Charisse was supposed to be here an hour ago. She promised Keith. And Charisse wouldn't pass up a chance to be on camera. Where is she? Eva, Tanya repeated. Please, what is it? Why are you looking up there? Eva dragged her eyes away from the railing. Charisse is in trouble, she declared. What do you mean? Keith asked. What kind of trouble? I don't know, Eva exclaimed. I can feel it, though. Really strong. I can't explain it, but I know it's true. I just know it. She turned and began running down the steps. Get to a phone, she told herself. Call Charisse. Hurry. Eva jumped over the last 2 steps and onto the football field. With Tanya and Keith running behind her, she raced across the field toward the school. Inside at the payphone near the gym, she fumbled in her bag for a quarter and slid it into the slot. Her fingers shook. The quarter fell and spun across the floor. Keith picked it up and stuck it into the slot. Eva jabbed at the numbers, gasping for breath. Her heartbeat hammered so loudly in her ears, she could hardly hear the phone ring, and ring, and ring. After 15 rings, Eva slammed the phone back. No answer. Let's go to her house, Keith said. Come on, we'll take my van. The 3 of them raced out to the parking lot and piled into Keith's black minivan. All the seats had been folded down except the driver's. Eva sat with Tanya on the scratchy carpeting in the back, hunched next to a pile of cardboard boxes, holding cables and microphones and other video equipment. Keith peeled out of the lot, ignoring the speed bumps. The tires screeched as he swerved onto the street. A horn blared loudly. Stop driving like a maniac, Tanya told him. We'll never get there if you're pulled over for a ticket. Sorry. Keith slowed a little and clutched the steering wheel nervously. Eva got me spooked. Eva huddled near the bouncing boxes, digging her fingernails into her palms. Hurry, she wanted to shout. Don't worry about a ticket, just get us there fast. A few minutes later, Keith pulled the van onto Charisse's street and barreled toward her house. The van lurched to a stop at the curb, and Eva slid the side door open. As she jumped down to the sidewalk, she heard a scream. A wild, terrified scream. A girl's scream from inside Charisse's house. Chapter 25. Oh no, Tanya gasped, jumping down beside Eva. Eva, you were right? Keith leaped out of the van, clutching his precious camcorder in one hand. Another scream pierced the air. Whoa, Keith murmured, his face turning pale. Hurry, Eva cried. She took off across the lawn, the dry fall leaves crunching under her feet. As the 3 of them raced up the porch steps, the girl screamed again, louder this time, more terrified. Keith yanked open the rattling screen door and Eva shoved the front door open. Help me, the girl's voice shrieked. Somebody, please help me. Charisse's voice. With Keith and Tanya close behind her, Eva tore down the hall and burst into the living room. Eva saw Jeremy race across the rug, heading for the dining room. The toe of his sneaker caught on the rug. He stumbled sideways and fell to the floor. As he tried to scramble up, Eva could hear him gasping in fear. A whimpering sound made Eva turn. She bit back a scream of her own as she stared. Charisse crouched on the floor near the couch, her red hair tangled, her eyes wild with terror. In one hand, she clutched a long-bladed butcher knife. Eva's mouth opened in a horrified cry. He killed Sandy, Charisse screamed. She rose to her knees, still clutching the knife. Eva's heart stopped, then began racing, trying to pound its way out of her chest. Jeremy killed Sandy, Charisse wailed, and he tried to stab me, but I grabbed the knife away. Jeremy leaped up, panic in his face. Get away, he shouted at them. He leaped over a footstool and raced toward the dining room again. Stop him, Charisse shrieked. He's the killer. Stop him. He wants to kill all of us. Eva couldn't move. Keith stood frozen, his fingers nervously clutching the camcorder. Jeremy, Tanya sobbed, racing after him. Jeremy, why? Why did you do it? Chapter 26. Stay away, Jeremy warned. With a cry, Tanya jumped at him and tried to grab hold of his windbreaker. Instead, she rammed into his back and knocked him off balance. Jeremy pitched forward, then fell straight down. A horrible cracking sound echoed through the room as his head slammed against the corner of a low table. He groaned once, then didn't move. Jeremy? Tanya gasped. She shook his shoulder and peered into his face. He's knocked out? Thank goodness, Charisse cried. Eva helped Charisse onto the couch. Keith stood by, a stunned expression on his face. Tanya stayed next to Jeremy, keeping one hand on his shoulder. Charisse, what happened? Eva asked. Charisse took a deep, shaky breath. She still held the knife and stared at it in horror as she spoke. He tried to stab me, she told them. He said he was going to kill me. But why? Tanya cried. Why would Jeremy want to kill you? Charisse turned and stared at her. For you, Tanya. He wanted to get revenge for you, by killing Sandy and me." Tanya's eyes filled with tears. "He said you were the first family he ever had," Charisse went on. "He said he couldn't stand to see you hurt." Tanya blinked. The tears spilled out and rolled down her cheeks. Eva stared down at Jeremy. "He told me he got into some trouble at his old school," she remembered. "But he didn't say what. He didn't want to talk about it. He said it was all in the past." What kind of trouble, Eva wondered. Murder? Was murder in Jeremy's past? No, he'd be in prison, wouldn't he? Unless he got away with it somehow. Eva jumped as Charisse touched her arm. "He told me he was going to kill you too, Eva." "Me?" Eva felt dizzy. "Why would he want to kill me? I'm Tanya's best friend. He knows that." "Yeah, and he doesn't like it one bit," Charisse declared. "Tanya spends too much time with you," he said. "He's jealous of you, Eva." "But—" "I told you what he said about family," Charisse reminded her. "Jeremy wanted Tanya and his mom and dad all to himself. He didn't want anybody butting in. Not even you, Eva. He's really crazy." Eva shook her head, shocked. "And that's why he sawed the bleacher railing," Charisse added, "to get rid of you. Thank goodness you didn't fall." Eva couldn't take her eyes off Jeremy. "He wanted to kill me," she thought in horror. "The guy I have a crush on wanted to kill me? This can't be happening. It can't be." Charisse clutched Eva's arm again. "We have to call the police." "No," Tanya wiped her eyes. "I mean, he's my brother, and besides—" "We have to," Charisse insisted. "Haven't you been listening to me? He killed Sandy and he tried to kill me and Eva." Tanya sat back. "It just doesn't make any sense," she murmured, staring at Jeremy. "How can he be a killer?" The room felt warm, but Eva began to shiver. Charisse's words raced through her mind. "Jeremy's crazy. Jeremy sawed the railing. He wanted to get rid of you. He's a killer." "Is he?" Eva wondered desperately. "Is it really true?" "The sooner we call the police, the sooner we'll all be safe," Charisse declared. "Keith, would you—" She stopped suddenly as a low moan echoed in the room. Jeremy. He groaned a second time. His fingers twitched. One of his feet wiggled, but his eyes stayed closed. "Call the police," Charisse whispered urgently. "Hurry, before he wakes up." Jeremy moaned again, louder this time. His hands curled into fists and his eyelids fluttered. "Get away," he mumbled. "Got to—" Charisse's fingers dug into Eva's arm. "Please?" Jeremy's eyes snapped open. Rolling to his side, he raised himself on one arm and stared at Charisse. Charisse slid to the edge of the couch. "No!" Jeremy shouted suddenly. Charisse began to stand, but her feet got tangled with Eva's, and she fell back onto the cushion with a gasp. "Stop her!" Jeremy yelled. "Don't let her get away!" He scrambled up, swaying a little. Then he pointed across the room at Charisse. "She killed Sandy!" Chapter 27. "He's crazy!" Charisse cried. "She killed Sandy," Jeremy repeated, rubbing the side of his head. "She did it." Tanya stared at him in shock. Keith backed toward the door, carrying the camcorder. Eva stood up slowly. Her gaze skipped back and forth between Jeremy and Charisse. Charisse stayed on the couch, her face flushed. An angry red bruise had appeared on the side of Jeremy's forehead, but his eyes were clear and they never left Charisse's face. "He's crazy," Charisse repeated. Her voice shook with fear. "Don't listen to him. He didn't say a word to me. He just broke into my house carrying a knife. This knife. I tried to talk to him, to ask him what he was doing, but he didn't say anything. He just kept coming at me." Jeremy started to speak, but Charisse wouldn't let him. "He stormed in here like some kind of monster," she said. "Then he suddenly yelled, 'This is for Tanya,' and he tried to stab me." "That's a total lie," Jeremy shouted. "That knife isn't mine, it's hers." "That's not true," Charisse screamed. "Tanya, please, call the police." "Go ahead, Tanya," Jeremy agreed. "Call them." Tanya stared at him as if he were crazy. "Don't worry," Jeremy assured her. "I'll tell them exactly what happened. I'll tell all of you. Don't you want to know the truth?" "Don't listen to him," Charisse pleaded. "Please, we have to get him out of here. I'm afraid." "Afraid of what?" Jeremy asked. "You have the knife." "And I'm not letting go of it either," Charisse cried. "Not while you're here." Jeremy turned to Eva and the others. "Charisse called me and asked me to come over to her house," he told them. "A few seconds after I got here, she saw you guys piling out of Keith's van, and then she screamed." "Because you were going to kill me," Charisse insisted angrily. Jeremy ignored her. "I didn't know what was going on," he continued. "Then she screamed again and grabbed that knife off the coffee table. I was practically paralyzed." Charisse tossed her head in frustration. "It's not true. It's not. What are you waiting for, Tanya? Do you want us all to die?" Don't you want to know what happened next? Jeremy asked. She threw herself down on the floor and screamed again. She was posing with that knife, acting terrified, but I was clear across the room. Don't you get it? She was trying to make it look as if I tried to kill her. Jeremy raked a hand through his hair, wincing as his arm hit the bruise on his forehead. That's when I finally unfroze and started to run. I didn't see you guys at first, but when I did, all I wanted was for you to get away. That's a lie! A lie! Cherie stepped backward, bumped against the coffee table, and sat down hard. Please, you can't believe him. It's a lie! As Cherise began to stand, Eva edged farther away from her. No, wait! Cherise snapped her head toward Eva, her blue eyes startled. Jeremy is telling the truth, Eva declared. Cherise, I know you're lying. Cherise, I know you're lying. Chapter 28. Cherie stood up, shaking her head violently. No! Why are you saying that, Eva? It's his word against mine. How can you... She paused. Wait a second. Is this another one of your stupid psychic flashes? They're not stupid, Tanya declared. That's what made us come over here in the first place. Eva knew something was wrong. She felt it, and she was right. Cherise rolled her eyes. Oh, please. I don't believe in that garbage, and nobody else will either. It doesn't matter, Eva said. I don't need to be psychic to know you're lying, Cherise. Cherise's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? Tanya already told us that it was Jeremy's idea for her to pretend to be dead, Eva explained. That was his plan for Tanya to get revenge, by playing a cruel joke on us. So? Cherise asked. So Jeremy wouldn't murder Sandy, Eva went on. He knew that Tanya was already getting her revenge. Hey, that's right, Keith remarked. Sandy was a total wreck worrying about Tanya. Cherise bit her lip. But if it was Jeremy's idea, then why did he break in here and try to kill me? I didn't, Jeremy insisted. Eva nodded. That's right, he didn't. How do you know that? Cherise demanded. You say Jeremy didn't say a word to you? He just burst into the house and attacked you? Eva asked. Yes, Cherise cried. That's the truth. Eva stared hard at her. But before, you told us that he said he would kill me, too. And how did you know about the bleacher railing? She asked. You just said you were sorry about the railing breaking, but how did you know about it? What? Cherise's face went blank for a moment, then a deep flush spread across it. The railing? She stammered. What railing? Jeremy asked, confused. See? Eva said to Cherise. Jeremy doesn't even know about the railing breaking off, so the only way you could know is if you saw that railing yourself. Whoa, Keith murmured. Eva kept staring at Cherise. You did it, didn't you? She asked. You saw the railing, and you made everything else up. Cherise started to say something, then stopped. Admit it, Cherise, Eva insisted. Yes, admit it, Tanya agreed. Stop accusing my brother of trying to kill you. Okay, Cherise cried. I saw the railing. She sat down on the coffee table again, holding the knife in her lap. Feel better now, Eva? She asked bitterly. Why did you do it? Eva shrieked. Oh, please, drop the innocent act. Cherise tossed her head, glaring around the room. I hate you all. You think you're so smart. Hey, let's keep a secret from poor dumb Cherise. Won't that be a kick? The way you were laughing at me behind my back? Don't you think I didn't catch on? Catch on to what? Jeremy asked. Keith's other video project. The Candid Video Project. As if you didn't know, Cherise sneered. Huh? Tanya cried. What video project? You all knew that Sandy pretended to like me just for the Candid video, Cherise went on. You all humiliated me, laughed at me, just for a stupid videotape. What Candid video? Jeremy demanded. Eva turned to Keith, totally confused. Keith? What is she talking about? Keith adjusted his camcorder, not meeting their eyes. Cherise is right, he admitted finally. Sandy and I were secretly making another tape. And everybody knew about it but me, Cherise cried. Wrong, Keith told her. Only Sandy and I knew about it. I had the camcorder hidden. Sandy was pretending to be like Cherise, but it wasn't real. It was all for the video. Cherise burst into tears. Keith turned away, ashamed. I thought Sandy really cared about me, Cherise sobbed. I thought he really loved me, but it was all an act, all for a stupid video. Eva felt awful for Cherise. You killed Sandy, didn't you? She asked softly. Cherise nodded, still crying. I was so humiliated, so furious. Yes, I killed Sandy. I murdered him. Tanya gasped. Jeremy put an arm around his sister's shoulder. Eva let out a shaky sigh. At least we know, she thought. At least it's over. Cherise took a deep breath and wiped the tears off her face. Then, after I killed him, I decided to go after the rest of you. I'd make you sorry for laughing at me, for ruining my life. I'd pay you back one by one. You were next, Eva. When Keith said you'd be up in the bleachers today, I saw the railing. Eva shuddered, remembering that terrifying moment when she was hanging by her fingertips. Next it would be Leslie, or maybe Keith. I hadn't decided, Charisse went on. But I figured I could pin the blame on Jeremy by saying that he tried to kill me, too. She laughed bitterly. I didn't know that Jeremy and Tanya had cooked up her disappearance. I didn't know that Tanya already told you guys that Jeremy was in on the joke. No one spoke for a minute. Then Eva turned to the others. Let's call the police, she said softly. What good will that do? Charisse asked. She'd stopped her crying and her eyes had turned cold. You don't have any proof that I killed Sandy. Are you kidding? Jeremy asked. You just told us. So, why would anyone believe you instead of me? Charisse demanded. Especially when you all don't have a single way to prove it. I'll deny it, and it's my word against yours. Keith cleared his throat. I'm afraid you're wrong, Charisse. Eva turned to him, surprised. Oh? Charisse asked coldly. Exactly how am I wrong, Keith? Without a word, Keith held the camcorder up and tapped it with a fingernail. Charisse's face drained of color. Yeah, you get the picture now, don't you? Keith asked her. I've had the camcorder turned on the whole time. I have her whole confession on tape. Tanya sighed with relief. Thank goodness. Charisse jumped to her feet, scattering a stack of magazines onto the floor. Give me that camcorder, Keith. Sorry, Charisse. No way. Keith began backing toward the door. Charisse raced ahead and beat him to it, blocking his path. Give it to me, she shouted. Eva took a step toward her. Charisse slashed the air between them with a knife. Eva stopped, terrified. Charisse swung back toward Keith. Give it to me, Keith. She advanced on him, raising the knife. You're not leaving the house with it. I swear you're not. Charisse raised the knife higher. Charisse! Tanya shrieked. Jeremy kicked the magazines out of the way and raced across the room. Eva reached out, trying to grab Charisse's arm. Too late. With a furious scream, Charisse plunged the knife toward Keith's chest. Chapter 29. No! Jeremy bellowed. Tanya and Eva both screamed. Keith raised a camcorder to shield himself. The knife clattered against the metal casing of the camera and bounced out of Charisse's hand. It landed on the living room rug. With a cry of anger, Charisse whirled around and dived for it. Eva kicked it away from Charisse's grasping fingers. The knife spun across the rug, skidded under a chair, and banged up against the far wall. Furious, Charisse turned back to Keith and swung her fist at the camcorder. Keith shifted the camera to his other hand, raising it out of her reach. Give me that, Charisse shouted. Give it to me. She drew her arm back, ready to swing again. Jeremy caught her by the wrist, spun her around to face him, and grabbed her by the shoulders. Stop it, he shouted into her face. He shook her hard. It's over, Charisse, it's over. Charisse struggled, screaming and trying to hit him. Keith set the camera down and helped Jeremy drag her to the couch. When they pushed her down, she collapsed against a cushion, sobbing in fury, but she didn't try to get up. Jeremy and Keith backed away from the couch, breathing hard. Charisse curled her feet up and buried her face in one of the pillows. Eva slowly let her breath out. It finally is over, she thought. She turns to Jeremy. Still breathing hard, he held his arm out. Eva hurried to his side and hugged him. Tanya joined them. Then Keith slung his arms around the whole group. They stood that way for a moment, shocked and relieved. Keith finally broke the hug. Now what? He asked in a shaky voice. Eva turned to the couch. Charisse still lay curled up, her face in the pillow, crying softly. Eva sighed. Now we call the police, she told him sadly. When the two police officers arrived a few minutes later, Charisse had stopped crying. She sat stiffly on the couch, staring straight ahead while the others explained what had happened. The officers were the same ones who had come when Tanya disappeared. One sat in a chair near the couch, writing in a small spiral notebook. The other stood by the couch, listening. They know part of the story, Eva thought, but not the worst part, not the part about Sandy. Charisse was trying to get back at us, Eva told them. She sat on a footstool near the policewoman's chair. She thought we were laughing at her behind her back. She saw the bleacher railing, so I'd fall. You can go check it out. But before that, she paused. The policewoman glanced up from her notebook. Before that? She killed Sandy Bishop, Tanya said, and she was going to kill Eva and Keith and blame Jeremy for everything. The policewoman gazed at Charisse. Is that what happened, Charisse? Charisse shrugged. Is that a yes or a no? The woman asked. It's a yes, Keith declared. He sat cross-legged near the door, holding his camcorder. Charisse admitted that she killed Sandy and all the other stuff, too. We have her confession. Both officers shifted their gaze to him. Keith hoisted the camera. It's all on tape. The policewoman stared at the camcorder for a moment, then turned back to Charisse. Is this true? She asked. Charisse started to shrug again. Then her shoulders sagged, and she let her breath out in a long sigh. Finally, she looked at the police officer. Yes, I might as well admit it. She gazed at the camcorder, and her mouth twisted in a bitter smile. It's all on tape. The officer finished writing and snapped her notebook closed. Where are your parents? She asked Charisse. We have to call them. Then we'll take you down to the station. They're at a business convention downtown. Sighing again, Charisse rose to her feet. The number is on the refrigerator door. While the policeman followed Charisse to the kitchen, the other officer carefully placed the knife into a plastic bag. Then she turned to the others. We're going to need statements from all of you, she told them. Come down to the station tomorrow, and we'll write them up for you to sign. The officer and Charisse returned from the kitchen. I made the call, the man informed his partner. Her parents will meet us there. Right, let's go. With a nod to Eva and the others, the policewoman strode out of the living room. Her partner followed, his hand wrapped around Charisse's arm. At the living room door, Charisse stopped and gazed back at them. Eva stared at her. What should I do, she wondered. Wave goodbye? Wish her good luck? What do you do when someone you know turns out to be a murderer? But before Eva could do anything, Charisse walked quickly through the doorway. That was awful, Tanya murmured with a shiver as they heard the front door slam shut. Keith suddenly scrambled to his feet. The cops forgot to take the tape, he cried. It's still in the camcorder. Clutching the camera, Keith dashed out of the living room and down the hall. He was back a few seconds later, still holding the camcorder. They already left, he announced. It's okay, we can take it to them, Eva told him. But before we do, let's look at it. Good idea, Keith agreed. He glanced around and spotted the VCR on a wall unit above the television. Quickly, he removed the tape from the camcorder, slid it into the VCR, and turned on the TV. I hope the thing is in focus, he muttered as he joined the others across the room. It was starting to get dark, but I didn't want to do anything to stop Charisse from talking. Shh, Tanya told him. It's starting? Bouncing snowflakes covered the television screen. Static crackled from the speakers. Everyone waited, but the snow and the static remained. Eva and Keith exchanged glances. I don't believe it, he cried. The camcorder jammed again. This has been a Nightfall Audiobooks production of Who Killed the Homecoming Queen by R.L. Stine, a Fear Street novel, Book 48. Hi, this is Chris with Nightfall Audiobooks, and thank you for joining me for my production of Who Killed the Homecoming Queen by R.L. Stine from the Fear Street series. This book is all over the place. It's kind of meta to have a video being shot by one of the characters called the title, Who Killed the Homecoming Queen. It was very cruel to have Sandy kill Tanya as a joke, and then Tanya goes missing as if, oh no, she's actually dead, like the corpse got up and walked away. That's happened on Fear Street before, so my hopes were pretty high that it was going to turn into a supernatural novel, but it wasn't. Then all of a sudden Sandy's dead, and Eva almost falls to her death on the bleachers. And I'm like, really, what is going on here? And then come to find out, Charisse is the killer because she thought that Keith was shooting another video that was a candid video that no one else saw, and that everyone was making fun of her, and she thought that her relationship with Sandy was completely false because it was for the other video. That she was right about. And Sandy two-timing behind Tanya's back? I mean, video or not, he should have went to Tanya and said, hey, Keith and I are working on this, just so you know, and I don't mean anything by it, it's just for a movie, okay? That would have been totally fine. But no, they didn't do that. Guys are stupid sometimes. This is just about wrapping up the end of the series. For an end of the series novel, this was really good. It was kind of short, it had a lot of chapters, but it was a cohesive plot, and it was a lot of fun. It's a bit of a mess, but that's okay. Sometimes messes are fun. Do I recommend this novel? Yes, I do. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Would I read it again? Probably not, but it was fun to read while I did. Like I said before, I got this book from the library, so I had to get this done pretty quickly before it was due. I think it's due next week, so I guess I hit my target. If the library doesn't have anything, what should I read next? I don't know. Send me an email, nightfallaudiobooks@gmail.com, I am also at home right here on YouTube at Nightfall Audiobooks. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that join button to show your support. Any help is greatly appreciated. I really, truly do mean that. I also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/nightfallaudiobooks. So tell your friends, tell your mom, tell whoever you think would like to listen to me tell them tales from R.L. Stine. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.